Hello, and welcome to this presentation on working effectively in online group projects. My name is Al. I am the UNLV Online Support Specialist, and I'm excited to talk you through a little bit about how to tackle online group projects. The goals of this presentation are to learn how group projects work, and we're going to look a little bit at Web Campus too, so you can see how they look in your online courses and to understand some best practices for communicating with your group mates and your instructor if needed, and how to respond when things go awry. So, hopefully, nothing does go awry, but in life, sometimes, especially with when you're working with other people, there might be challenges that come up. So, we'll kind of talk through that a little bit. So, how many of these on the screen do you relate to? If you've done group projects in the past, whether in person or online, have you ever done more than your fair share in a group project and felt like it needs to come to you in order to get done? Have you had a teammate totally disappear on you? Have you waited until the last minute to start your part? No shame at all. Definitely, I've been there myself. Have you been the organizer by default, or have you felt awkward or had any social anxiety? And have you had a hard time giving up control and letting your group mates take on part of the work? And is that maybe why you've done more of your fair share? Just some questions to ask yourself as you start working on online group projects, because a lot of times online communication styles can kind of exacerbate things that may already be challenges in an in-person group project. So I want to take a step back and kind of think about what's the point of doing group projects? Why are these so often assigned? Um, I think that it's really interesting to think about how when you're doing a group project, you're not only learning the content and practicing the skills of the class, but you're also learning how to collaborate with others. And that's a really important skill that not everyone has the opportunity to learn how to do through structured projects. And in online courses, it's so important too, because you are able to make more connections than you might otherwise. So that's why group projects are often assigned in online classes. So you probably will have more than just the one that you may have now. So, really, the main thing that, if you're going to take anything away from this presentation, the main thing to think about with group projects is that starting strong makes all the difference. If you can start off on the right foot, then it's probably going to go smoother throughout, because if you set expectations early and start meeting your group mates early, then when things start becoming due or becoming a little more confident, you've already got something to fall back on. You've already spoken about kind of the basic expectations, which we'll get into in just a second. So the first 72 hours matter. Often you'll get assigned your group after a couple weeks in a class, and once you get assigned your group, I would recommend just going and sending a message as soon as you can to your group mates. This sets the tone, kind of shows that you're engaged, and will help other people be engaged as well. Trust me when I say this, we all feed off each other's energy. So if you start strong, then other people are going to feel more comfortable to also be more active. And also, you can get ahead of deadlines and just kind of alleviate some stress there. And we're going to look at this in just a second, but you want to make sure to check the groups tab often in Web Campus for responses. You don't always get notified, so I try to check it. I'm currently doing a group project, and I try to check my groups tab once every couple days just to see if anyone's messaged. And don't be afraid to ask questions or take the lead. I know it can feel a little uncomfortable if you're not used to being in that role, but again, trust me when I tell you that your group mates will appreciate it if you do take the lead. You're not overstepping, you're not being too much. It's a good thing to reach out and say, hey, do we want to chat about the next assignment? Do we want to meet? How do you guys prefer to talk? Taking the lead will not only make your life less stressful if no one else is doing it, but it's a good skill to learn. It only gets easier with time. So you may have already figured this out, but once you are assigned a group in a class, the groups tab will appear on the main menu in Web Campus, also sometimes called the global menu, the one that never goes away. So right under your dashboard and courses, you'll see the option for groups. And when you go there, you'll see all any and all groups that you're assigned. So then you can click on the group. And again, I would just recommend checking this once every couple days while you're doing a group project because you might not notice if somebody has responded there. So that would just be my advice. So typically, when you're in a group project, different people will take on different roles. The roles can rotate, but everything should be explicit as you work on different parts of the project. You might want to ask or volunteer for different roles, such as doing the research, writing the first draft, editing the first draft, or and submitting the assignment. Someone needs to submit the assignment, so it's always a good idea to make sure you know who's doing that. It would be so unfortunate to do all the work of your project and then nobody submits it. So I just want to make sure to say, oh, hey, who's submitting this? Or I'll submit it, but everything should be explicit, especially in the online format. You don't have that in-person check-in, that quick, chat. So just making sure you post that in that groups tab, or you could decide to use text messages or email or something else if you would prefer. That's also something that you can coordinate with your group mates. So as you think about what you want to do and what role you want to take on in your group, if you are being proactive and kind of early in or taking the lead on certain things, it's a good opportunity to be able to choose what you want to do for the project. And when you think about what role that you like to take, are you an organizer? Do you like to keep things managed in your personal life and for your family? Are you a hard and reliable worker? Are you more creative and like to kind of brainstorm? Do you procrastinate? Totally fine. It's very common, but do you expect that you'll probably do things closer to the deadline? Do you like to contribute, but you're not as maybe as extroverted as some other people? Do you like to write? Are you good at making sure things are submitted on time, or what else? Something to consider and reflect on as you work in your group project. In my group that I'm in right now, one of us is extremely good at keeping us organized and making sure that we're staying on task. So that's great. I don't mind doing some of the extra legwork because that's something that I'm, more proficient at than kind of organizing the whole entire group. So everyone has different strengths, and so it's worth thinking through what you are comfortable doing and what you might want to challenge yourself with. The important thing is to keep it simple. You don't want to overcomplicate things by introducing more than one communication channel. Like you don't want to text and email. Just keep it to one thing, and don't overcomplicate things as much as you need to. You're already throwing a bunch of people into the mix. So keeping things simple and straightforward, I think, is a great way to tackle group projects. Again, choosing one communication channel, maybe trying to meet live at least once so that you can kind of get to know each other. And sometimes it helps to put a face to the name and talk through things quickly. And you might feel a little more comfortable that way with your group mates. You can use shared documents such as Google Docs and set deadlines for the group, whether you do that or someone else or you collaborate on that. Especially for our procrastinators out there, having a deadline that's maybe a little before the final deadline can be really helpful in getting things done. I'm going to quickly show you how you can collaborate on Google Docs. Google Docs is a really great tool that is part of the Google Workspace, which is something that you have access to as a UNLV student. So it's a great way to collaborate with your group mates. Anything in the Google Workspace suite is easy to collaborate on in the same way that I'm about to show you. So if you need to use a spreadsheet or make a presentation, this can also be a really great tool. If you create a blank document, then give it a title. I always forget to give my documents titles and I regret it. Then as you go, as you type things, you might notice that it auto saves your progress. So you never have to worry about keeping things saved. And you can invite people to collaborate on the document with you. So if you click share in the upper right-hand corner, you can then add people. So if you just add in your group mates' emails, then everyone can come into the same document and contribute. And it works the same for Google Slides. I'll just show you really quickly here. But if you select share here, then it'll make you give it a title. And then you can also add an email. So it all works the same in any Google product like this, any Google program. So just know that makes it very easy. And then your group mates will get an email and you can all work on the same document. Going back to Google Docs really quickly, just a couple things I wanted to show you. So, as you're working on your shared document, if you notice up here in the upper right hand corner, just below share, you'll see this mode. You can switch from editing mode where you just can edit directly like you always do, or you can switch to suggesting. And then when you type more things, it'll just become a suggestion. So it doesn't make it permanent. So that can be helpful. And then you can also zoom back out here. Then you can accept suggestions to make them permanent. See, I'm still in suggesting mode. So now when I deleted that again, it made it a suggestion. And then you can also add in comments so that can keep things a little organized. Probably don't need to write anything here, but here I am doing it. So then you'll see the comment there. And then the last thing I wanted to point out is that you can add tabs to your document by, so if you select these lines here, then you can, what the heck? Oh, it's because you have to be in editing mode. Just quick note. And then you can add a tab and then you can kind of keep things organized across your tabs here. So what happens when you encounter challenges? Now, the main challenge that you'll run into is probably uneven participation. A group member might totally drop off, or you might feel like you're doing most of the work, and that just doesn't feel good, especially since everyone's getting the same grade. So what should you do if that happens? Well, the first thing I would do, just out of respect, is message the person privately. You're not overstepping, this is your grade, this is your life. So you could just say, hey, I noticed this section hasn't been updated. Are you still good to complete it by Thursday? Just kind of casually nudging them, seeing if they're still going to complete their parts. If you feel comfortable. If you don't feel comfortable, or if you do that and they don't respond, then what I would do is bring it to the group. Go to your preferred messaging channel, whether that be text, the web campus groups tab, email, and just kind of message everyone, hey, how's everyone doing? Are we still good to submit by Thursday? Or maybe even something a little more direct, like, can we review our progress and responsibilities? We're getting close to the deadline. And that will sort of alert your other group mates to the issue as well if they haven't already noticed. Now, if there's still some uneven participation, or if you don't have an active group at all, I would involve the instructor. Again, this is your grade and you shouldn't need to do all the work. That's not the point of a group project. So document any communication attempts. That's why it's important to try to reach out first and then ask for guidance. If your group mates don't respond within a week, then I think that's plenty of time to reach out to the professor. It shouldn't take that long. And we all get caught up, but I think that it's just important to make sure you're advocating for yourself if you are doing most of the work, or if you feel stressed about what other people are doing. Some instructors may even have guidance in their assignment instructions. I've been in a group project where the instructor said, if your group mates don't respond in 5 days, let me know. So sometimes they do want you to within a certain amount of time as well. But reaching out to your instructor is always a good idea if you're running into these challenges. The other challenge you might find is missing deadlines. It's hard enough to keep track of deadlines when it's just one person versus adding others into the mix. So what I would recommend doing is setting deadlines for the group, messaging them, keeping up to date, every few days or so, every week or so, depending on the length of the group project, and set a deadline a few days before. Say, hey, can we make sure to have all this done so we can review it by, a few days before the deadline? And then you can also just want to make sure you have a designated submitter so that you don't accidentally forget to submit the project that you've worked on so hard. So really, a successful group comes down to three things. First, preventing problems, setting expectations, clarifying roles. That helps minimize confusion and boost productivity. Having a system is also very important. Having one communication channel, one shared document or multiple shared documents if there's multiple parts, but having shared documents that you all work on together, if that makes sense for the project, and setting internal deadlines. So making sure your system is solid and simple, it doesn't need to be too complex, but just making sure those things are set and explicit. And then finally, intervening early if you notice issues. If your group mates are also not engaging, that's definitely reach out to them and then reach out to the instructor after a few days of no response. So I hope this was helpful. I am Group projects are fun and exciting and a great opportunity for growth. So I hope that the rest of your project goes well. And if you do need any support or have any questions, you can always reach out to UNLV online support. I'm here to help, whether that's just helping write an email to your group or talking through something more complex. So you can always reach out to us at onlinestudents@unlv.edu. But in any case, thank you so much.